your host Dr. Dennis, and you're watching GWENT News. Last week was really eventful. We saw the release of the patch 3.1, the release of the new leader Sigismund Dijkstra, also CDP revealed the lineup for the upcoming challenger. Alongside with that, we have much more in form of memes and a really amazing observation by one of the Reddit users. First of all, let's appreciate these two guys and all of CDPR for being so awesome. They are certainly more than a company. To summarize it, the patch 3.1 has brought completely overhauled bronze cards for Northern Realms and other factions, but the most changes were made for Northern Realms as it skyrocketed the Northern Realms to the top of the tier list. And it wouldn't be the GWENT subreddit if it didn't bring some spicy memes about the whole situation after the patch. Just take a look yourself. Many of us may not realize this, but every single day we are closer to Red with Africa. Just look at the recent changes, doesn't that remind you of something? As mentioned before, the lineup for the upcoming challenger was released, and it contains the likes of Pavel Berja, Megbeard, Shinmiri, and freshly Green Cricket, who's become an analyst after dominating the pro rank for quite a few seasons now. Now I would like to take a moment and congratulate my teammates Trinid123 for becoming the faction ambassador of Syndicate. Congratulations, Trinid.
Agroto dum anime est, spes est.
Hey, did you hear that? What was that? The old voice lines are back, so now you can enjoy the Vikovar Novice, aka Expert Remedy, once again with its amazing voice line. Alongside that, the other special cards got the voice lines back as well. What a time to be alive now. With the arrival of the new month, we saw the arrival of the new season, the Draconic season, in the seasonal game mode. In this game mode you have to complete your turns much faster than in the other modes, and it can be quite a pain in the arse. I can say I tried to play as fast as I could and I still wasn't able to play all the cards as I wanted, so I kinda realized that the animations in GWENT are a problem as they take quite a lot of time before happening. Take for example the Doomed action, the animation of that. It takes so many ages. I tried to play Helmar and damage a card that would win me the game as I would go 2 cards up, and the banish animation took so long that I banished the 7-point card, and instead of hitting the Griffin with a 7-point card, I hit the Foglet and it's just summoned the other copy of the Foglet, so I didn't really get 2 cards up and I lost the game after all, because of that I ran out of time. So I do think that at least the banish animation should be taken a look at. So that's it from me about this. I didn't want to complain, but I kinda wanted to give a bit of insight from me on this situation, so thanks for listening. Next news. Have you ever made that one amazing counterplay that made you feel like Freddybabes? This is certainly one of them. An amazing observation was made by Steven Maneuver, who has noticed the similarities between the GWENT cards and some famous movies. And it doesn't stop there with the amazing observations, as Kane Dirty Dan has noticed that one picture of the Battle of Grunwald was an inspiration for the card Waylay, or previously known as Elven Mercenary. Just take a look yourself at the similarity. You know what they say in that meme template: improvise, adapt, overcome. And this is certainly one of the cases when you have to improvise, adapt and overcome your opponents with your big brain. For this week we have 2 amazing guests in Freddybabes and Redrame. Freddybabes brings in his thoughts about the patch, and Redrame talks about his experience in the Norwegian knockout as he has become the first champion out of the 8 tournaments. This is the end of my part, and now it's time for the hosts. Here we have Freddybabes.
Hey guys, I'm here to talk about the recent patch. I thought I'd give some thoughts and impressions, what I think of the revamp to Northern Realms, the new leader for Syndicate, the faction in general, and all the cards that have been changed. So overall, I think Northern Realms has definitely been improved upon a lot in terms of how it feels to play, and the power level, of course, it's a lot stronger now. It seems like maybe even too strong. It's possible. Some changes maybe a little bit questionable, like for example, Full Test getting even more boost available on his ability when he was probably already the best Northern Realms leader the last patch. But I can deal with that. I think it's quite a nice thing that Northern Realms is getting a time to shine a little bit more than it has done in the past, and arguably they're not even necessarily the strongest faction right now. Syndicate is also looking very good, and that is mostly because of Dijkstra. He is definitely a very strong leader, capable of getting 10 plus points pretty much every game if you're playing a few crimes in your deck, of course. And he synergizes very well with a few cards as well, like Townsfolk. Just a very flexible leader in general as well, allowing you to kind of chain bounties and fill out, the amount of coins you need for any given situation. Maybe you need to play a Philippa or deal a certain amount of damage with him. So really a flexible leader, probably the best leader for Syndicate it seems like, and maybe a little bit too strong. Again, might have been a little bit of an oversight in terms of how strong he can be if you're playing a lot of crimes in your deck, and even if you're trying to combo things such as Townsfolk, Igor and all that stuff. But he definitely feels fun to play, and I have been enjoying both him and Full Test and other Northern Realms leaders. They definitely seem to have benefited the most, in terms of power level from this patch, from what I've been seeing the first few days, but that can all change very quickly, as, with any meta in Gwent, things can, flip on their head, so to speak, in a matter of days, weeks, whatever. So, I don't want to say anything is, needing a nerf or anything right now, but overall, I think the patch was very good. Some of the factions were left behind maybe a little bit. I'm looking at you, Monsters. They didn't really get too much, it seems like, whereas other factions got boosted up quite a bit. Skellige, another one that didn't really gain much love, but of course, that was a pretty strong faction to begin with. So, yeah, really nicer for Squirtel, nicer for Northern Realms, and of course, Nilfgaard is also decent now that you have quite a lot of engine-focused factions and stuff going on. So there's a fair amount of diversity. I would like to see maybe Monsters get a bit of love, more than it has in this patch, because it seems like it's being left behind a bit. But apart from that, the other factions, definitely Northern Realms and Syndicate feel great to play. I would love the other factions to feel on that same level, but I haven't played around too much with all of them yet, so maybe they are very fun to play. Maybe that's up to you to decide. Anyway, that's pretty much some quick thoughts on what I think of this new patch. All in all, a pretty decent one, pretty good one. Definitely very nice for Northern Realms. They might be a little bit too strong right now, who knows? Or maybe the other factions need to come up to their level. But it's definitely a breath of fresh air to be able to play that faction, as well as, Dijkstra, to great effect right now. And we'll see how the meta develops in the coming weeks, days, whatever. Thanks.
These were Freddy's thoughts, and now it's time for Redrame's experience.
Hey, this is Redrame, and I'm here for an interview for GWENT News, just to answer some questions that I got about the Novigrad knockout, which I recently took first place in, very excitingly. I'm very happy about that. Wasn't really expecting it going in, but yeah. So, how did I prepare for the tournament? Mostly by playing ladder, if I'm being honest. I didn't really think too extensively about my lineup. I more or less brought the 3 best decks that I had built, that all happened to be capable of dodging Geralt, so I kind of just played with that as my lineup. I don't actually think there was too much synergy with like the different decks that I brought. Like, you had Willy, which was really good against Skellige, and then I brought Arrakis Queen and Full Test, which were like not so good against Skellige for Swiss, and they like kind of preferred Syndicate matchups out of like the 2 quote-unquote broken factions at the time. Although honestly, I don't think Skellige was that broken. I think Skellige was kind of overhyped. But, and then for finals, I needed a 4th deck, so I just threw in a Sval Blob that I built like a while ago. And honestly, I hadn't played too much, but it just seemed like it would be a solid deck against what a lot of people were likely to bring. And then if people brought Willy, I could always ban Willy. So Sval Blob just seemed like a solid choice when you had the option to ban Syndicate. Because like King of Beggars was also kind of scary for my lineup, because they can kill the Kikamores and like the 3-point engines. And I mean, they just have a lot of points, a lot of ridiculously efficient cards. So honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of lineup, but I figured there are only so many decks that actually feel strong right now. I may as well just bring some strong decks. I didn't bring Scoia'tael, which a lot of people were knocking me for. But honestly, Scoia'tael felt too coin flip reliant to get through like a long tournament. It's like Scoia'tael is just roll red coin and draw your golds the deck. Whereas like AQ can just perform well on any coin. In a lot of matchups, I'd say you actually slightly prefer blue coin. Like against Skellige, you can get engines down before they can play boat into Bear Claw or things like that. So it felt like I had a lot more consistency in my lineup, even though I did bring full test, which obviously full test you have to draw commandos and shit like that, and sometimes you just get screwed. Full test almost cost me the tournament, like in a couple of cases. I kind of regret bringing full test. Maybe Skoya would have been better than full test, but I also wasn't practiced with Skoya at all. Because, I don't know, I just don't really like the deck that much. It's also, like, really easy to push against with, like, Skellige. Or even most syndicates. Like, it feels like Skoya has less ways to beat, like, had less ways to beat the top decks at the time. So that's kind of how I got to my lineup, more or less. I just brought decks that I thought were good, and had a little bit of synergy with each other, but not too much. How was my experience? Swiss was actually kind of hard for me. I started out very well. I started out 4-0. And then I just got brutally 2-0'd by Hippo. I forget Hippo has like the longest, most Hippotompotamus, I think, is his actual username. His strategy is to wear you out with his name. And then also Fear Syndrome got me. And then I noticed that I was 7th seed, and I would immediately have to play him again. So I was kind of scared shitless of that matchup. But thankfully, Fear Syndrome brought a Detlef, and I casually just bullied his Detlef 3 times in a row. Turns out Detlef, especially in open deck lists, not so great. When your opponent can like see that there's no cheese coming, or that there is a cheese coming. Like, I don't know. All of my decks were just vanilla strong enough to beat fair Detlef. Like, he only had a Lacerate, and like he had Ard Lacerate as a finisher, and then just like normal mid-rangey Detlef cards, a lot of removals. But like, I mean, I call them normal. I don't know if Detlef was considered normal in that meta, but still. So, that was probably, that was the matchup I definitely most thought I was going to lose, but then didn't because there was a Detlef to save my ass. And that would have been a brutal tournament for me if I had just gone to loser's bracket, like straight round 1 in the finals, in the double elim. That would have been a big blow to my morale, which is an underrated aspect of tournaments. At the end of the day, if you get too damn drained, it's pretty hard to win. And like, the player who just goes through winner's bracket has a huge edge because they just get to like actually take a break. Relax. They don't wear themselves out with like long hours of playing. That's kind of the sad thing about double elim, is that a lot of times double elim ends up feeling a lot like single elim, but it takes longer. Obviously, it does have the aspect of like more reliability. Like, you don't just immediately lose if you have one bad series, which is kind of nice. But I don't know. It felt silly to just struggle so much in Swiss. I feel like I kind of doubted my lineup after Swiss, honestly. I figured I was just going to get knocked out. But things ended up going well for me. So, kind of just won all the games in finals. Had some pretty close series. Against Trinet, my full test, that was the other one that really had me sweating, because my full test just screwed me over twice in a row. But barely managed to pull it out the 3rd game. Or, I guess, well, the 5th game. But the 3rd game with full test. So that was pretty rough. But Santu went down like surprisingly smoothly. Although the final game, I thought I was going to have to do a remake. I felt like I was favored against his lineup, particularly because he banned my full test, which was the deck that was sinking me for most of the tournament. My AQ and my Willy did very well, which I kind of expected. I think AQ really proved itself as a force in that tournament, even though not too many other players brought it. Like, that's what I would like to attribute my win to, even though I know at the end of the day it's just a tournament. there are a lot of other factors, some of which are luck-based that caused me to win. But I definitely do think bringing the AQ was the right move. I'm happy that I brought the AQ. So yeah, the finals were rough because I started out like bricking my Willy and then just dead drawing a couple of games. But I kind of just went into like autopilot mode, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lose this. I'm gonna have to play him again. I want to conserve my energy. But then I ended up just taking the reverse sweep, so that was pretty unexpected. I didn't think I'd be able to reverse sweep. I think it was the blob. Yeah, I have a terrible memory of games, by the way. I'm sure everyone's just gonna laugh at me for not even knowing what went on in my own tournament. But oh well. I think that's about all there is to report on, as far as I can tell. It looks like I got through the questions. So thank you for having me on the show, Dr. Denise. It's very kind of you. And yeah, peace. Glad to take the W.
This is it for this week's GWENT news. Tell me, what would you like to improve for the next episode? Tell me if the audio quality was better than the last time and the previous times, and also tell me your opinions on the green screen and what should I use as a background. You are the best judges of this, so thanks for watching and stay awesome, guys.